Alexander Isak is making his play to move away from Newcastle United, it looks like. David Ornstein reporting today that he is asked to leave. Craig Hope saying that he's wanting to explore his options. I've re-recorded today's NUFC Transfer Daily. We're going to be discussing that. But I'm going to try and be a calming influence on what has been quite a difficult day, as Isak is not on the plane to Asia for Newcastle's pre-season tour. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please do subscribe, hit like, and get in the comment section below as well to join the community. But today, as I said in the intro, I've already recorded a video on Alexander Isak being left out of the Asia trip, which I've now deleted, and I'm going to be re-filming and talking again. Alexander Isak has told Newcastle that he would like to explore his options, and that's added to the speculation and the meltdown, and it's changed the situation enough for me to, I think, re-record this video. I also talked about Ross Wilson, the prospective new sporting director, and also Mark Gahey, but I think I'll leave those out till a later date because this is such a moving story that, as I say, I feel like this is the main thing to talk about now. So the recap of the context is that Alexander Isak has been left out of the squad to travel to Asia. The official reason was given that he has a minor thigh injury. He was training alone this week, and that does probably tally up off the back of the Celtic game when he was left out of that squad as well. It's obviously going to create speculation, and the Liverpool fans will have jumped on it. Newcastle fans in the comment section below you guys, but also just generally probably really panicking as well. And yes, it's changed the context a bit, but it's only really explaining what we already know. He would quite like to explore his options. We've spoken about that on this channel. Eddie Howe said on Saturday as well in his press conference that he'd had a conversation with Isak about the career being short, which suggests that he has said that he would be open to the move to Liverpool. But as I said in the video earlier, a few of you may have heard it before I deleted it, but for those who didn't, I basically said that, you know, it would have made sense to really push for the move last week when Liverpool were there, bring the opportunity to negotiate at around £120 million. The bid was in for Hugo Ekitike, and Newcastle could have theoretically sold Isak to Liverpool, brought Ekitike in and had a contingency plan. It wouldn't have been the ideal scenario. Obviously, that is to keep Isak, and Newcastle still want to keep Isak. He's still not for sale. Newcastle still want to talk about a contract. All of these things are still on the table. Nothing has really changed, and it would have made sense, as I say, for Isak to then push for the move then. I think Eddie Howe admitting to having that conversation is really the key information there. It obviously doesn't help with all this speculation, and adding on to this, it creates more of a story and devalues the idea that he's actually injured. The scan coming back saying that it's a minor injury as well isn't an ideal thing too, but I just don't want people to see the latest development and jump on as if it's anything new. Alexander Isak hasn't handed in a transfer request. He would like to explore his options, and when you're on £120,000 a week as the best striker in the world, and as I said yesterday, that's exactly what Newcastle have called him all year. We've revelled in the idea that Newcastle have one of the greatest strikers on the planet. But from his perspective, you've got to pay him like that. And Liverpool would offer that opportunity. Other clubs would offer that opportunity as well. So I would urge a deep breath from this. I know it's not great news. I know it doesn't look great. I know all of the noises pointing to something, but Liverpool aren't at the table. They have moved on to Ekitike. Although they've been briefing that if they got any encouragement, they would bid for him. They moved on to Ekitike. They didn't get enough encouragement last week when the opportunity was there. Isak didn't force the issue, as we've said before. He continued to train. Been training alone this week, so I think that there is something in the thigh injury. I don't think that's completely fabricated, but maybe Newcastle are using this as a way of controlling the narrative as well. On top of that, who knows? We'll have to wait and see what Eddie Howe says over in Asia for any more updates. But for now, I just want to say stay calm. I know it's added fuel to the fire. I know Liverpool fans will jump on this. It's tangible now. It's out there. It creates the narrative. It advances the narrative in that way, and that's not good. But we knew that Alexander Isak's people were keen to keep his options open. His agents haven't committed to anything. Anybody would be keen to listen and talk to the Premier League champions if they came to the table, or any other potential options. He's got 3 years in his contract. Newcastle remain in control of this situation, even though the noise is growing, even though the situation seems to be getting out of control. And I do think Newcastle haven't helped themselves with the narrative control over the last week, particularly some of Eddie Howe's comments, as I said in a previous video, as I wrote about as well. But we already knew that Alexander Isak was keen on the move. We already knew that this was always going to be likely at this point this summer when somebody came to the table. And that's how footballers generally tend to feel. Like they tend to ignore all the noise until something comes to the table, something possible comes to the table. Crucially, there is no transfer request. Crucially, even with Liverpool here, his agents aren't committing this. He's got 3 years in his contract. He can have another year here and go next year on better terms. All of these things we discussed are all still absolutely possible. I understand the narrative isn't great and the optics aren't great and Newcastle are losing control of the narrative, but at the same time, just look at what's actually happened. Look at what we already knew. Eddie Howe's comment about the conversation he had with Isak was the big news, really. I think that was the concrete suggestion that Isak would be open to the move to Anfield. And now we know that that's the case, or it's out there that that's the case. Does it change things? We'll see what Liverpool do now. But as I said earlier, they've already gone for Ekitike. The suggestion is that they can afford both is only predicated on selling players, so they still need to go and find a buyer for Darwin Núñez or Federico Chiesa or Luis Diaz, and then potentially they're also linked with other left wingers as well, so who knows what they would actually do in that scenario, but none of that's at the table yet, so there's nothing to be concerned about. Newcastle are potentially trying to control the narrative with this off the back of these reports that are now emerging in the last week of speculation, but Isak is not the kind of player to force an issue. If he was, he would have done that last week. I honestly believe that in this scenario it was in everybody's interest for him to do it last week effectively, because if he had, then Newcastle may well have got Ekitike and there would have been a contingency plan. Liverpool would have made a bid. All of these things, it's out there. We'll see how it develops. Eddie Howe's comments in Asia and the whole situation will now bubble up and it'll go a lot further now, obviously. So brace yourself. This happens quite often. It happened with Anthony Gordon last summer, where he was unsettled when Liverpool came calling. Eventually he signed a new contract and got on with it and had a decent season. Obviously it was a tough season at times last season, but it was a decent season all told. He played a really crucial role in Newcastle winning a Carabao Cup. So I'm sure the comment section will be lively. I'm sure that Twitter and all of these things will be full of people debating what should we do with Alexander Isak. Should we fine him? Should we sell him? Whatever. All of those things. We could infer from Eddie Howe's comments on Saturday that Alexander Isak had made clear that he wanted to move, or at least wanted to explore his options. And then those reported agent quotes as well said very much the same thing. Again, didn't commit. Once again, the article doesn't say that Liverpool are stepping up or anything like that. It doesn't say that they're committed to pushing for Liverpool. Newcastle need him to force his way out for anything to change. If he takes a few days, gets his head straight, comes back, gets fit and goes again next season and then leaves in a year's time, that's absolutely fine. But Newcastle have been very happy to push the idea that he's the best striker in the world, and he will want to be and deserves to be paid like that, and he deserves to be challenging for the best honours as well. And perhaps it does open the door for Liverpool to come back in, perhaps it opens the door for more things to happen, but as of now nothing has really changed, and that's all I really can say at the moment. I'll be back tomorrow with more on NUFC Transfer Daily. This is the second video I've recorded today. I hopefully don't have to do another one. Like, share and subscribe, and yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.